If it rings one more time, I will stop it. How this 20-year-old dude, okay. And the ROAS on that was 15x, so congrats.
El Kasimi. I came here with 43,000 followers. It is around a little over 2 months, and right now I'm at 61,000 followers. On Instagram, I think a lot of us don't really like the traditional path of school, college, job, tribe sales, which is coming in, ping, and
notifications.
Success.
Yeah. When you just think of creating content for the views, you might not be optimizing for the people who will buy, because the people who buy and the people who watch are often different. How this 20-year-old dude launched a 40K community in 7 days.
Hey guys, I am Sabah, and with the help of Kasimi over here, I was able to launch a community on school, and it was a rather great launch in 7 days.
Wonderful. So let's go over how this all happened. You know, the story of this community, which is called RW, so the Indian Institute of Remote Work. And how did it start? Just quickly, we won't go over the full story.
Yeah.
We'll go straight to the nitty-gritty. No BS here, but yeah, just to understand where it came from, and then
I think a lot of us don't really like the traditional path of school, college, job, and I was one of them. I was fortunate enough to have a remote income in the 12th grade, so I dropped out and I just did not like school, and I wanted to create something alternate where a lot of Indians could export their services abroad and make a great living out of it.
All right. And why did you make it specially for the Indians?
I mean, I'm Indian myself, and I think that in India we have a lot of talent density, but they lack some very basic fundamentals that stops them from being able to export their services, which are at a really high level, properly abroad, such as business etiquette, how they speak, and especially communication issues, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something you help them a lot with. For example, you've even integrated a accent mitigation coach within the community, which is something I've never heard about.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Trying to do things a bit differently in this community. I don't want it to be just another community, and you've really helped shape that.
Wonderful. My pleasure. So basically, in order to do a launch of whatever, you need a product and traffic. You need an audience. You need offer and demand. So the product was this community which would help, which helps Indian get into remote work and export their skills internationally. Then the traffic side of things, the content, how did that go? Because, you know, it's one of the most important parts of the process, because if you have something to sell, but you have nobody to sell it to, it doesn't matter. So let's start with that part. How did you build the distribution that would allow to make this launch a reality?
Yeah, so I started making content on Instagram and YouTube actually a while back. Started from gaming videos on YouTube. I think a lot of us did that, and we all wanted to be YouTubers. After that, I basically had a fitness Instagram page. Got rid of that and went into the agency space when I was having my own agency. So I started creating a lot of short form content. That's where it started. I soon picked up a bit of traction because I sort of knew how the social algorithms work, because we've been doing it for other clients. And I also did this for Iman Gadze. I had a remote job with him. So that sort of sparked a lot of this. Then after getting a bit of traction on Instagram, I started making content on YouTube as well. And that is my primary focus now. I have 17,000 subscribers, and one of my videos that I posted like 2 weeks before the launch of RW got over 100,000 views. I didn't calculate that.
What a timing.
But I think it really did help with building up more traction towards this launch.
Yeah, 100%. And so we met here in Argentina, like not exactly Buenos Aires, but Argentina. And you started a challenge, right? So 30-day, one reel a day.
Yeah, that was insane. I usually, even now, I do believe that there's a big quality approach. I feel like I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to content. I really want to be crafting each piece of content properly, and even the community. You know, if it wasn't for you and Arthur, then it would have been like a perfectionist. I would have never felt ready to even launch the community. When it comes to short form content, I posted a reel a day for 30 days straight. And towards the end of it, one of them popped off and gained over 1 million views. So even that just timed itself perfectly with the launch. It got me like 10,000 followers.
Yeah,
So
damn.
now I'm at like 61,000 followers on Instagram total.
Great. It grew very quick. I could see the growth.
Real quick, I came here with 43,000 followers. It is around a little over 2 months, and right now I'm at 61,000 followers on Instagram from creating content in these 2 months
Yeah.
that we're in Argentina.
And these are not just views, like these are actual leads that
were
came
converted.
into the cohort, so the community, yeah. So this definitely not the same kind of views you could get by just doing like humor stuff. So yeah, definitely high quality. And what do you think helped in making that a reality? I think I saw you become like way more serious when there was a deadline. Did that play a large part?
110%. Definitely, because there's this one quote, I'm probably not going to quote it perfectly, but work expands itself until the given deadline or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
Parkinson's law. Like,
I don't know whatever law, but basically, if the deadline was 30th January, we would have done the same amount of work until 30th January.
Yeah.
Luckily, the deadline was, we just said it, you know what, 25th January 2025 sounds like a good date.
Yeah.
That's it. And we got it done by that date. So
Wonderful.
reverse engineered from the set date of launch. One more thing was that we made it public. This is when we're launching.
forced
So
to do
now,
it, yeah.
okay, well, I'm not a man who's going to break my own word in public. So launch.
Exactly. Then it's a matter of keeping your identity of the guy who says
Yeah.
something and then does it, does what he says he did.
Has to
So
do.
yeah, definitely. And so what were the steps? So there was this content. So you grew this audience, and then there was this date, this deadline, 25th of January. Then what was the process to, you reverse engineer it? What was the process to get to that date with the launch, with the successful launch?
Thanks to suggestions, we had a really good funnel, right? So I wouldn't say it's the best funnel. We're going to do a lot better for the second cohort.
Yeah, it's the first time, yeah.
But we basically had YouTube, Instagram, and everywhere we were directing people to a WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
Normally people collect their emails, and the middle of the funnel is like, I don't know, maybe a Telegram group or something. But I haven't seen a lot of people do WhatsApp. And I feel like WhatsApp is the most intimate, especially in India. We use WhatsApp like for family, friends, and WhatsApp notifications are always on. It's the most direct way of distribution. So we created WhatsApp communities, and we had like 7,000 or 8,000 signups and around 5,000 people in 3 different WhatsApp communities that we had created. So from there, basically, we directed people to webinars. And not a lot of webinars, not like how people do free value webinars, none of that. We straight up, look, I'm going to be launching this thing. Here's what it's about. Here's when I'm launching it. So one webinar, more like a technical test webinar, just to make sure we're setting up things correctly, which was just a general Q&A for the audience, nothing else. Then the launch webinar, which was basically like opening the doors to purchasing the cohort, to applying for the cohort. So we opened up live, and that was the day where we got the most number of applicants, and we did it with a webinar.
And so in this webinar, there was a peak of 580, I think, something.
Thanks to your soap opera, I believe, sequence.
Yeah, so the first part was warming all of those leads that you got through WhatsApp and also emails, right?
Also emails.
You also used
yeah.
it, but you were focused on WhatsApp because that's what most Indians used.
People don't care about emails in India.
Really?
Like, they don't
Okay,
even
yeah.
open them.
That's
much.
interesting. That's interesting. Because emails in like other parts, maybe the US,
important.
Europe, is very important and very efficient too. So yeah, it's interesting that works more on WhatsApp. So you warm that list up, and then we pushed a sequence that has made millions over different businesses, and that I've tested myself with different partners, which is the soap opera sequence from Russell Brunson. And yeah, that's what we did. So we told your story basically through that framework. That's what we did. And then we drove people to the webinar, which, by the way, was your first webinar, right?
So luckily before that we did like these
Yeah, the technical,
webinars.
apart from that, yeah.
But those really helped to calm
Yeah.
like the nerves down, because I've never really spoken in front of a wide audience, nor am I feel like if I had a live audience in front of me, I would feel stage fright. But luckily that one technical webinar really helped things like, okay, I can do this. And then technically, yeah, it was my first ever sales webinar, correct?
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, we used that sequence also as posts on Instagram or stories. So we could use the same content and run it through different formats. So
Stories. And one of the things that we really learned from this, everyone here, was basically the stories towards the end. When we use the soap opera stories, we put many chat integrations so that people can DM. So they DM'd launch, and then they got the link to register for the launch webinar. But before that, before the soap opera stories, every time I used to put stories to join the WhatsApp community, I used to say, I never said reply to my story with this keyword. I always put the link
straight to the WhatsApp group.
Instagram, if there are a lot of people clicking on links, it's obviously going to not promote your story as much.
Yeah, because you're getting them out of the platform.
Yeah, but when people DM you, it's a signal that, oh, people are engaging.
Yeah.
You should have done that a lot earlier. So for cohort 2,
of course. Yeah, lots of lessons learned for cohort 2, which we want to share today so people can get the most out of it. But yeah, that's one of them, is really whenever we're driving people to a certain place, whether it's a group, an email list, or whatever, we have to try to think of ways we can align our incentives with the incentives of the platform we're using. And in that case, Instagram or any other platform, they want the users to stay as long as possible. So that was way better to make them engage in the stories so that you can then invite them in the WhatsApp group. So yeah, so that was this step. What came right after that? So every day for 5 days, I think we run that sequence. And then there was the webinar day, the D-Day. How did it go?
It went, I believe it went slightly better than my expectations in terms of conversions and applicants. But that day I got proof of concept that this is now a real company. Before that, it was like, well, if we get like 50, 70 applications, then we'll just refund everyone and try to build more top of funnel and, cancel this whole thing. And then I don't know what the next few months for me would look like, right? I guess I would just be making more content, which is fine, and then redo it, but also sort of lose face.
Yeah, of course.
Fortunately, the first day we got enough applicants for me to be like, wow, this is real now. Yeah. I have a second company and so much more responsibility.
Yeah. Before that, it was just a T-shirt, in fact.
Yeah.
With the tiger on it, which is
a bit of more branding.
Symbol of IRW.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely. So D-Day, webinar day, 580 members,
plus applicants.
Yeah, and then 500 applicants. So that's the overall applicants, but
800 plus unique members who joined the webinar.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. And so, how did this webinar go for you?
It started off, again, I was really nervous because it's my first time. Heck, I can't even speak in front of a huge audience. Now I feel like I can. I'm so much more confident than I was like a month ago in terms of speaking to a big audience live. But this is me selling to an audience live. It's different because
500 people, more.
I feel like there's inherent shame when you're selling, like a little bit of shame.
Why is that?
I feel that way. I don't know, because
you haven't gotten out of the matrix, They tell you salespeople are bad people.
Yeah. I think that's feel that way in a way. Even though I know that it's a net benefit for most of the people here.
Yeah. Selling is a power. It's like Spider-Man with his uncle, that's great. With great power comes great responsibility. And selling is a great power. So you have responsibility that comes with it.
Exactly. So I was scared in a way, like I don't want that kid to purchase who should not be purchasing.
Yeah.
Which is why, thank God, we had an application process.
But we
detected a lot of these people and refunded them.
Exactly.
We had a parent email us telling us, oh, by the way, my kid purchased it without me knowing. Please issue and refund ASAP.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah,
Refund.
And
Okay, but that's why I felt like
yeah.
I'm selling to a big
Even with
audience.
the application process being difficult, really, it wasn't just a button and you can buy it. You had to go through a type form with a lot of questions. It had to be filtered, and then you could enter the webinar in which you could buy. So it was really a great filter, but still,
You remember the debate we were having of should we make people record a Loom video to get in, but we thought there's going to be too much drop off.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, what was the final outcome of that?
I think it was good. A lot of people applied successfully,
Yeah.
and we had to filter it down. But talking more about the webinar day, it was a huge help to have you just be there on that day, film BTS, moderate the chat, make sure everyone's doing not everyone's just going off, and as well as just putting the links up, managing this whole thing end to end.
The content operation.
Yeah, the behind the scenes nobody sees.
And for context, so we had a podcast right before the webinar,
Warming up
so that
like this.
so that we could warm you up and you could yap easily, right?
Yeah.
And you had a mate, that's also useful, quick sherba mate. And then we were recording the whole thing. I'm gonna even show like a few videos about that. And that's how it went. And I remember after that you were drained out of your energy, but you were feeling good.
Yeah, because okay, it's legit and great. Now you launched the company and the Stripe sales were just coming in, ping, and
Notifications.
success. And the best part was that I did not see any of this when I was doing the webinar. I only knew the result afterwards. So for me, I had no idea how I did.
Yeah,
right?
I was seeing it, so I knew.
Thank you guys. Peace out. Bye. And then I walk over to Stripe. Arthur's over there just, Giga Chad face. No, not Giga Chad face. Stoic face. Like, he doesn't give a shit. Like, whatever. And then I look at them like, ching. I'm like, whoa. Whoa. What
That was
the heck?
something.
It worked.
It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice thing to see. And then, so this was basically open for a week, right? This was the 7 days through which people could join. Then what did we do? How did it go from that point?
Let me flip it on the content operator. Why did we do it for 7 days?
Huh?
Why did we do it just for 7 days?
So from what I remember, we took the webinar chat, we copy pasted.
I meant, why did we only open it for 7 days first?
I didn't hear you. So why did we open it for 7 days? Is that you want to use scarcity whenever you can, and of course, like, people will always want what they can't have or what they might lose. So you want to limit it, because if you don't limit it, then unless you have huge amounts of evergreen traffic, it's going to be hard to really test the, let's say, the demand for your offer. And so this is why we did this. And of course, because it's a cohort, which means it's not a course, you're actually creating the different steps to, like, for the people to start their remote work business. You're creating those alive. So you're doing the lives with them, and so they're all in the cohort and growing together. It's a community. It's really a community. So you can't just. It's better to start like this than to get people enter randomly at random times and then onboarding them. I think to start something, to start a fire, you want to go big, and then maybe later you can let it open and get people in.
100%. I think it would be a disaster if we just kept it open forever.
Yeah, you want to limit things so you can have better control over it.
Then right after the webinar, you proposed something really smart.
So we took the webinar's chat, I basically copy and pasted it onto ChatGPT, and we extracted all of the questions, all of the remarks, all of the comments, because we have to remember that during the webinar, you talk to people, of course, and you ask them their questions, like what do they want to know. It was a Q&A. So we took their questions, transformed that into content ideas, which we used for other pieces of content that you could upload in that 7-day window, and ads as well, which played a nice role in that story. And so basically that's it, because this chat had basically the golden content that you needed, because it was all of the objections that your prospect had. And so it is the best way to create content, is to create it thinking of your clients, or maybe like a layer down the clients is the prospects, the warm prospects. When you just think of creating content for the views, you might not be optimizing for the people who will buy, because the people who buy and the people who watch are often different.
Now, with those objections that we had to craft them into stories that we can tell, which we then did a podcast right after. Actually, no, not right after. I sort of died for an hour. I was just, I just died because I'm like, whoa, I was
Need to
taking
recover.
it all in.
Yeah.
And then we're like, okay, got to keep the momentum going. It's a 7-day marathon.
Yeah.
So we then just started with the podcast, and we try to come up with stories to handle each objections, to then clip those into short form content. Then we then ran as retargeted ads to the same audience.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
hard.
And the ROAS on that was 15x. So
Not just that, but also all of the other ad copies that you saw other sort of, I guess you just had more expertise here in terms of who other, like the other story ad copies and everything like that. I didn't even see them, but they just went live.
yeah, we just took your story, bro.
It was amazing.
Now we know you perfectly.
Done.
With all the GPTs and the copy. Yeah, so that's what we did, and yeah, I'm glad it worked.
The ads got like probably more than 10K.
Yeah, they were very profitable. I was surprised, honestly. I was like, oh, it's working
It works?
very well.
Whoa.
Extremely well. So yeah, but yeah, it always comes to stories. Whenever we craft the good stories, I feel like it's gonna work. That's the concept that I see, because people now more than ever, they need that authenticity.
And
you can even see it in the content trends right now. They need things authentic, and so
What we could have done better here with the ads is record them sooner and pre-plan the entire ad strategy. Now that's obviously hard to do for a first-time launch.
yeah, exactly.
Second-time launch, 100% we're going to kill it with the ads, and even try to test cold audiences. A huge opportunity there, I believe.
Yeah, now you have all the data points that you need for that second launch. That might happen in like 6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 months.
Yeah. So you have everything you need now. You understand your audience, you understand their pain points, and even better, you can use what you get through the current cohort.
Yeah.
In 6 to 8 months.
Case studies.
You're gonna have so much information, and that information is golden because it's your clients,
You
the people who
asked
pay.
why India earlier.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen someone execute on a community this broad, specific to a country, and because of the fact that we're in one geographical location, then I can actually meet these people and collect in-person case studies. Imagine case
Wow,
studies where
that's-
I'm next to the person like this.
That's
It does
crazy.
not get better. It doesn't get better than showing the audience that by them enrolling into the next cohort, we have a chance to be sitting like this speaking, because ideally they would be looking up to me because of all the other content I create.
100%.
So that's powerful. It's not just a
Yeah.
video of some 12-year-old recording, hi, this guy helped me do. It's not that.
Not just
It's
a
legit.
testimonial or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And by the way, you're gonna do a tour in India, right? And meet some of the guys of IRW, no?
Fortunately, it's naturally happening, so I only have to go
Cool.
out of
That's
my
cool.
place for one location. So I need to catch technically only just one flight.
Oh, that's easy. And then just a car, right?
Yeah, and then just come back. Yeah, so
Okay. Easy.
It's easy. It's not much.
That's cool. Yeah, that's very unique, I think, in terms of content or of things you can show and value you can provide. So we talked about this launch, the 7 days, with the content that we use from the webinar, and then use as content, as ads. How did it end when we arrived to the last days? By the way, how did the sale go? You expected
First day,
them
huge
to,
inflection,
yeah, huge inflection, and
then it just poof dropped for the next 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Then the ads started picking up, and then we had a few spikes like day 4, 5, even day 6. And another thing that we could have done so much better from the start was allow for the option to pay via UPI.
oh yeah,
UPI is basically the way that us Indians pay. It's like Apple Pay for the Western, right? Like you guys just touch your phone and boom.
easy payment, yeah.
We have UPI. It's a different technology. We scan a QR code and we just pay. So every
Okay.
time we just open our camera, boom, done.
Yeah, it's like here they have Mercado Libre, something like that.
Yeah,
Or,
we have a technology called UPI. And we were unable to set up a company in time to effectively get that registration so that we can have a UPI payment gateway. So later on, we figured it out a bit in the gray area, but we opened up UPI during the final few days, and we got an inflection of sales and applicants through UPI as well. Last day, we did the closing cohort. So literally, as the countdown was ticking down, which created insane FOMO. Literally, the timer is going off. Oh, we have 12 minutes, and then we're done. We're not accepting any
it's
more
closed,
applicants.
And so just to remind people, so the last day you did another webinar, right? And so what was the angles we used for that webinar? How was it different from the first one, for example?
I totally forgot. What did we do? I guess I was so stressed in terms of.
So
Shit.
the main thing was to take the main questions,
Yeah.
and of course at the end of it, reply to all the questions, even the dumb ones.
Yeah.
So that was the goal. And in between,
Curriculum content. That's what we covered.
exactly, yeah.
There we go. So we started the webinar. We were talking about the curriculum. Here's exactly what we're going to teach.
Yeah.
Give them a bit of free sauce. And I'm such a Gen Z. I just said free sauce.
Resource, yeah. Bro,
Shame on me.
oh, you're 20 years old, that's fine.
There we go. See, the 20-year-old is kicking in. It's verified now. But after the free sauce, we basically went into the questions that are most common objections. After that, we stayed on until the sales were literally closed, until the timer hit 0-0, no more admissions, and basically answered every stupid question and smart questions that were asked in the webinar chat. That's how we concluded and went to eat sushi.
Oh yeah, that was this day to celebrate. We ate $300 worth of sushi to still be hungry.
Yeah, and then we had burgers.
Yeah, just next to it there was a burger. So yeah. So guys, remember, if you want to eat sushi, make sure to not be hungry. Like eat right before and then go to sushi.
And then we also ate ice cream.
Yeah, ice cream right after that. And I was still hungry
Yeah,
because we're starving all day long.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the launch. Then what were the next step? Like everybody was was being accepted or
Rejected.
Rejected. And because we have to keep in mind that this was a whole selection process. There was 500 applicants, but you only kept how many of them?
120 final.
120 final members. So you went through a whole selection process to really have just the right people and make sure you could serve them, right, for that first cohort so that you could help them the most. And of course, build better case studies within those 6 to 8 months before the second cohort and have the best community possible.
Another thing that helped us get really qualified applicants was SMSing and I guess even emailing the applicants who had almost completed their application. And from that income, because it was on type form, we had even partial applications, right? So with the partial application that they had completed, and if we saw that they're sort of qualifying, we checked out their social, and then we sent them an email that, hey, I think you would be a really good fit, you should join. And that also got us quite a few completed applications.
The lesson learned here is to make the operation in a way that gives you as much information as possible within all the steps the lead will take. So either as a viewer, as a lead who opts in WhatsApp or the email list, as a lead who has completed how many steps of the type form, has a lead who completed the type form but didn't pay. So all those steps, that's crucial information, and that's how you better understand your avatar and how you can sell it better. So yeah, is there any other lessons learned that we missed here? Because that was the full launch, with the content operation, the funnel, the sequences.
That's how this 20-year-old kid launched a $40,000 community in 7 days.
Congrats.
El Kasimi.
That was a nice dap. If you need my help building the content operation that will turn your ideas into profits, go to contentoperators.com. See you in the trenches.